Thank you. One, I want to congratulate the authors and the managers of the bill in the House for coming up with, I think, a very good bill for our military. Pay raises, trying to increase defenses, and I don't mind saying I think we're at war. I know the presiding officer believes that. How long does the war last? I don't know. I can't tell you. Am I supposed to know that? Can we not fight it unless we know the date it ends? America, is it part of the battlefield? You tell me. Where do you think they want to hit us the most? What do you think Al-Qaeda would love to do more than anything else? Come here and destroy the building I'm speaking in. And the only reason they can't get here yet is because we're fighting them over there. We're gathering good intelligence. We're taking the war to them. Our intelligence agencies, our FBI, our military, our CIA, they're all over the world tracking these crazy people so they can't get here. So to suggest that I can't tell you when the war ends, therefore we got to turn it into a crime, is dangerous and absurd. Did they know when Germany was going to fall? Berlin? Did they know when Tokyo was going to fall? What happened to the German saboteurs who landed in Long Island during World War II? They were captured by the FBI and turned over to the military. What happened to the American citizens that were helping the German saboteurs? They were held as enemy combatants. To my good friend from Kentucky, I don't doubt your passion. I don't doubt your sincerity. I doubt your judgment on these issues. The Supreme Court has spoken 3 different times. And recently, just less than 6 or 7 years ago, an American citizen was caught helping the Taliban in Afghanistan, and they said you could hold one of our own as an enemy combatant until the hostilities cease, and that is a hard time to figure. Well, let's get this right. If an American citizen helping the Taliban in Afghanistan kill our soldiers can be captured and held as an enemy combatant according to the Supreme Court, what kind of world will we live in if the Al-Qaeda collaborator American citizen attacked us here trying to kill us on our own homeland, to say, well, that doesn't count. You're no longer at war because we're here in America. That you got to read them their rights and give them a lawyer, and you can't hold them for military intelligence gathering purposes. My good friend doesn't understand that in fighting a war, the goal is to win the war, is to defeat the enemy. In fighting a crime, it's designed to hold somebody accountable for a legal wrong. I've been a military lawyer for 30 years. He may not understand the law of war, but I do. And the Supreme Court does. And the Supreme Court has said in World War II and in this war, if an American citizen collaborates with the enemy, they will be given due process under the law of war. A federal judge will hear the claim, I am wrongly held. I am not part of Al-Qaeda or the Taliban. And that's the only time you can be held as an enemy combatant. You have to be helping Al-Qaeda or the Taliban. You have to be involved in a plot or an act. If the federal judge agrees with the government, yes, you are in fact, there is evidence to suggest you're helping the Taliban or Al-Qaeda. I think most Americans would say it's reasonable to hold that person to find out what they know about this attack and future attacks. Can you imagine what would happen in this country if 3 people were running up the Capitol steps to blow up the Capitol? One of them survived. One of them was an American citizen. We could hold them and question them. Where did you train? Is there any other attack planned? What do you know? Who did you work with? That we'd have to say within hours or a day or two, here's your lawyer, you got a right to remain silent. Can you imagine what would have happened in World War II if the American citizens who helped the Nazis, we turned that into a common crime? The difference between me and the senator from Kentucky is that I believe with all my heart and soul that the Al-Qaeda, Taliban groups are at war with us and are trying to come to our homeland. And I know they're trying to find American citizens to help them, and they will. There's never been a war in America where somebody within the American citizen community did not collaborate with the enemy. That is happening today. And when that day comes and we capture that person, I want as an option the ability to hold them as an enemy combatant like we have in other wars. They will get their day in court, but they will not be read their rights or given a lawyer on the spot, because that would stop intelligence gathering. So to the managers of this bill, to the men and women in the House who sent it over here, thank God that you chose a balance between due process and common sense. And all I will say is that the way we found bin Laden was not through torture. And I'm offended by that, as Senator McCain and Senator Levin. The way we tracked down bin Laden is that we had people held at Gitmo for years under the law of war. We don't try you or let you go. When you capture somebody on the battlefield, you don't hold a trial, you hold the prisoner to try to gather intelligence and keep them off the battlefield. And through that process, over years, the Bush administration and the Obama administration put together the puzzle about bin Laden. It wasn't because of waterboarding, it's because this country had available to it the law of war detention that would allow us to hold people and get to know them over time and make sure they could not go back to the fight. And good questioning, good interrogation techniques led to finding bin Laden. What the senator from Kentucky is saying, that would not be available to us as a nation if an American citizen were involved attacking us on the homeland. What an absurd result. Absurd result. That if an American citizen joined with al-Qaeda to kill everybody in this room, for some unknown reason, we would turn that into a crime rather than an act of war. If you collaborate with al-Qaeda or the Taliban, two things can happen to you. You can get killed, you can get captured. And you will get a trial one day, most likely, and nobody's restricting your trial rights. What Senator Levin said is true. There's nothing in here restricting the right of trial. What's in here is giving us the option to hold someone as an enemy combatant so you don't have to Mirandize them and turn an act of war into a crime. And it won't be long, I'm afraid, before this theory is tested in reality. The enemy is afoot. They're trying to penetrate our homeland. They're seeking aid and comfort from Americans within our own country who are going to side with the enemy, unfortunately. And when that day comes, I want to make sure that we have the ability in this war, like every other war, to hold them, to gather intelligence, not to torture them, but to make sure that we're safe as a nation. Due process, yes. Under the law of war, it must be so. If we turn this war into a crime, we're going to regret it. And if you don't believe we're at war, then I just could not disagree with you more. And I cannot tell you when the war ends, but I won't tell you how it ends. This is how it's going to end. We're going to win, and they're going to lose, because we can't afford to lose. And between now and when that day comes, we're going to take the fight to you. If we find an American citizen helping the enemy overseas, this president ordered the killing by drone of Alakwi, an American citizen, overseas. I believe it was Yemen. And the president said, I have ample evidence he is now assisting al-Qaeda overseas to attack American targets. I'm going to take him out. Well done, Mr. President. Well done, Mr. President. Now, if most of us agree you can kill an American citizen helping al-Qaeda kill us overseas, you can't capture an American citizen helping al-Qaeda here at home and hold them for questioning under the law of war? What an absurd result. So I not only am going to vote for this bill, I'm going to celebrate the fact that we've done nothing to stop a trial right. As Senator Levin said, there's not one thing in this bill restricts your right to a trial. What we do have in this bill is the recognition we're at war, and we retain as an option that has not been used. There is no American citizen in low war detention, but there may be a need for that one day, and we retain that right under this bill.